Welcome to Underground Cinema with Abraham and Eddie. Abraham, tell the people what we're doing today.
Today I'm very excited we get to talk about my favorite filmmaker, Quentin Tarantino.
It was inevitable, right? It's
very inevitable.
If you're a dude, he's got to be in your top 5 pretty much across the board. I haven't really heard anyone say anything bad. It's probably in my top 5. I don't like to admit it, so I probably won't ever make a top 5 just to keep him off of it. Less talked about movies. I don't know if any of his movies really are not known, but Jackie Brown from 1997 and Inglorious Basterds from 2009. 2009, that's what I thought. Are probably two of the ones that are discussed the least. Obviously, you have Pulp Fiction being probably his best known movie, and rightfully so. You see a lot of people talk about Kill Bill when that was going on. A lot of his new movies have obviously gotten him a lot more mainstream, attention. Django Unchained, Hateful Eight now. All these movies have really done well for him financially, and have pretty much always gotten him a nomination for an Oscar.
People really don't talk about, especially Jackie Brown. I feel Jackie Brown is definitely the one that people are just like really quiet on.
Yeah, Inglorious Basterds got a lot of attention when it came out. I loved it right off the gate when I saw it. But Jackie Brown, I think it's overseen a lot, for sure. All right, so why don't we go ahead and get started with Jackie Brown. We're going to do things a little bit different. We're going to assume you've seen these movies. Probably everyone that listens to this podcast has seen both of these movies. So we're just going to go into the discussion of Jackie Brown, right? 1997, right? Made in the glorious days of the Clinton presidency, right? The only movie not completely original from him, right?
Yeah, based on a novel by, Leonard...
Why don't you look it up? The name of the book is...
It's called Rum Punch. I remember that.
Rum Punch, yeah. Mm-hmm. About a basically down-on-her-luck air flight stewardess who is running money for this gun dealer, right?
Yeah.
In Compton, and sort of gets caught, gets stung by the ATF, and now has to find a way out of it, right? Very interesting that it's the only movie that isn't an original script out of Tarantino. Do you think it does anything to the movie? Do you think it's perhaps one of the reasons why it's not talked about as much as the rest?
I don't think so, because he brings his own element to it. So yeah, it's based off something that that's already been that existed, and I just looked it up. It's written by Elmore Leonard.
Oh yeah, what else did he do?
He did Get Shorty, the one with John Travolta.
Sure. I like that movie a lot, actually. So anything else? Because I know he's kind of like that, McCormick, all his stuff gets always done.
Yeah, he's one of those authors that gets a lot of his...
what's the guy who writes all the Gone Baby Gone and like Mystic River stuff? He's got a lot of his movies made, too.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know the guy's name, to be honest.
Well, either way. I think it causes Tarantino to sort of approach the movie maybe differently. I think, I don't know, man. To me, this is his unsung masterpiece. No one really talks about this movie, like we said. I love this movie. I watched it probably for the 4th or 5th time in preparation for this podcast, man. And I gotta say, man, I loved every second of this movie. Pam Grier is still looking probably as good as she did in the 70s, right? All the performances. Keaton was great. Samuel L. Jackson, I know we talked about this a little bit in the first episode of Glass about whether or not he's just sort of always playing himself. I think that anyone who has any doubt about his acting ability really needs to watch this movie, because I think throughout he's just great in every scene he's in. And he's playing the constant antagonist, right, to everybody. He's the foil. He's the foil to Jackie Brown. He's the foil to Cherry. He's the foil to obviously the ATF officers, and everyone seems to sort of rotate around him. So I thought he put on a great performance.
Yeah, he was awesome, and I think he's always great in a Tarantino movie. I love the fact that Tarantino uses him so much.
I don't think I can think of a bad time he's ever been on screen, to be honest with you.
Yeah, probably the biggest Uncle Tom ever in movie history, in Django Unchained.
Right, yeah. But, I mean, he's great at that. I mean, how much did you hate him, right, throughout that whole movie, right? Yeah. And to be able to, elicit emotion from people watching a movie, whether it's a good emotion or a bad emotion, it's quite a feat.
Oh, yeah, he's awesome. Even in Hateful Eight, which I think he got snubbed for an Oscar. Especially when he did that monologue of how he killed his son.
That monologue is so cringeworthy, too, though. I have some issues with that movie, too, to be honest with you, on rewatch. But Yeah, no, I think he's great. Why don't we cut to a scene from Jackie Brown right at the beginning of the movie, where we're introduced to Chris Tucker.
Oh, D.
Look at you and your free ass.
What's up, man? Hey,
Come
no,
here, boy. Give me a motherfucking hug.
I didn't know you was coming by.
Yeah, my nigga.
Looking out, man. I don't know what to say, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Uh-huh. Who was there for your ass,
You
huh?
was there for
Who?
me. You.
Who?
You,
Who?
nigga, you.
You goddamn right. See? That's how that shit works. You get your ass in trouble, I get your ass out. That's my motherfucking job. And I don't mind telling you, nigga, it's steady work.
Hey, look here, man. I'm still scared to the motherfucker OD. They talking like they serious as hell. Give me time for that machine gun shit.
Oh, come on, man. They just trying to put a fight in your ass.
If that's what they doing, they done did it.
How old is that machine gun shit, huh?
About 3 years.
3 years? Come on, man, that's an old crime, man. They ain't got room in the joint for all these niggas out here killing people now. How they gonna find room for you?
Ain't what they telling me.
That's why they call it fucking with you. And let me tell you how we gonna retaliate, all right? Tomorrow, I'm gonna pick you up, take you over to Century City, introduce you to my lawyer. And let me tell you something about my lawyer. This brother's name is Stasson Goins, and this nigga is a junkyard dog. He my own personal Johnny Cochran. Matter of fact, he kicked Johnny Cochran's ass. And like Johnny Cochran, this nigga hate cops. I'm serious, man. He lived to fuck with the police. Now, as a favor, I had him look at your case. He said, you ain't got shit to worry about. They just fucking with you. So we gonna sick the junkyard dog on their ass and make them stop fucking with you. Huh?
Good looking out, man.
Huh?
Good looking out. Come on in, man.
No.
Come on, man. Let's celebrate.
Look here. I'm really supposed to be somewhere. Matter of fact, I was kind of hoping you could run with me.
What you mean?
You know, man, I hate to be the kind of nigga that do a nigga a favor and then bam, hit the nigga up for a favor in return, but I got to be that kind of nigga.
So that doesn't end well for Chris Tucker at all, huh?
Yeah, no, man. He was really looking forward to some chicken and waffles after that.
They didn't even make it all the way to Koreatown. Right. So, no, I mean, that's the kind of dialogue that you expect from a Tarantino movie, right? And I think that's what I'm talking about in terms of people who underappreciate Sam Jackson's acting. I don't know anyone that could play that character better than him. Honestly, I don't. What I think is great about him in that movie is that he's clearly the bad guy from the beginning, right? You have the scene with him killing Chris Tucker, right? Throughout the movie, he is both the antagonist, but you're also constantly being like, this guy is so fucking cool. Like, I want to hang out with this guy, right?
Yeah, and at some points you kind of root for him too, at times.
At some points, you do see where he's coming from, yeah. But he's a scumbag.
Oh yeah,
You know, right? He's feeding these machine guns into the fucking streets of Los Angeles, Compton specifically, right? Making the situation much, much worse. So he's actually, the scum of the earth, but he plays it in a way that's charismatic, which makes you buy that kind of character. Because if you don't play that character right, you're like, how does he have all these friends? How does he have all these girlfriends? How does he make all this money? Why would anyone want to deal with him, right? But you see how charismatic he is and how you immediately kind of want to be his friend, and you kind of buy it. And I think that performance is tough. It's not easy to pull something like that off.
Yeah, I'd work for him.
Yeah, for sure, right? You run guns for him?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as I could figure out a way to finally get out of that life, so yeah.
Yeah. Can we talk about Robert De Niro in this movie?
Yeah, he was simple.
No one ever talks about Robert De Niro in this movie. It's almost like you always have to remember, have 5 minutes into the movie, oh shit, that's right, he's in this, right?
Yeah, because there was at one point in the movie where you just don't see him for a long time. Next thing you know, he's getting I guess you could say a lap dance by that one chick in the apartment. Right,
she's putting on her her show, right?
Yeah,
It's like a cabaret show
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. Yeah.
And just oh yeah.
Oh shit, that's right. That's Robert De Niro.
Him in that stash. Him in that mustache.
But he's good. He's very good, quiet. He's playing a guy who has been a career criminal out of jail, and the reason he's good at what he does is because he's quiet and he does what he's told, right? He's always down to whatever is going to put some money in his pocket. He's right out of jail. He's got nothing else in his life. Yep. So he hooks up with Sam Jackson, who basically, I don't know if people catch this. He at first he's just sort of with Samuel Jackson because he just got out of jail. He's got nowhere to go. He doesn't actually become involved in any illegal activity until after he kills Chris Tucker. because he's the guy that helps him get rid of the body,
Mm-hmm.
right? I didn't catch that the first couple times I watched that movie. That the subtleness of being like, all right, you're an ex-criminal, well, now you're back to being a criminal again. And that's the kind of subtlety that I think makes Tarantino appealing to so many people.
Yeah, and the one thing that, well, this goes for any Tarantino movie, just watching these characters interact. Because he loves for his characters to interact so much. And he gives them this great dialogue to go off from that you can tell that, you can tell that Samuel L. Jackson and anybody who's in the scene are just having so much fun, going back and forth with each other.
Yeah. One of the things we used to work on in college, in writing classes, was to avoid the fallacy of like wanting the conversation to go a particular way. So if you want a conversation to go a particular way, you're not going to let it organically come together as you're writing it. You're going to be steering it, and that's when you feel really awkward dialogue and very like, direct exposition that's just told to you instead of it naturally happening. And the whole idea of writing good dialogue is understanding how conversations naturally flow and stuff. And I think no one does it better than Tarantino.
Yeah, he trusts his audience to get it. Whereas, like you said, other movies are just like, well, here's this explanation because I don't think my audience is going to be smart enough to figure out what the hell's going on. So yeah,
I think one of the sort of subtle things in this movie that someone may miss, or maybe they don't, and maybe I'm trying to feel smart about something that I really shouldn't, is how often did you notice that every single man in the movie basically either falls in love with or is at least very attracted to Jackie Brown?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Did you catch that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've caught that. Like, there isn't a single male person in the screen in the same room with her that doesn't go like, oh yeah.
Yep.
The judge, did you catch that? I don't know if watching this because did you watch it again for this podcast?
Yeah, I think I've seen this movie. Well, even before we were watching, I think it was like 10 times before.
Okay.
This, so yeah.
When she's getting processed, right, and then the detective suggests that she should get $25,000 because A, she's a repeat offender, which is true, and B, she's a flight attendant. She could leave literally tomorrow and never come back. She gets on a plane and makes it to Cabo where she works. She could just stay there forever, and it might be very difficult to get her back. So he suggests $25,000. The judge takes one look at her, right, and suggests $10,000, and even answers her questions. Right, she's not supposed to directly talk to the judge,
Yeah.
and yet he still like very politely answers her question. I thought that's great. Right, Michael Keaton asks her on a date. Cherry asks her on a date immediately. Yeah. Cherry falls in love with her the moment he sees her. Right. I thought that kind of stuff was great.
Yeah, I love going on Rob Forster now. Dude was just amazing in this.
I don't understand why he hasn't been in more of Tarantino stuff.
Yeah, because you think, especially since Tarantino likes to reuse a lot of actors that have previously worked with him, it blows my mind why I don't know if he just can't find maybe a role for him.
Possibly.
That could be a reason, but yeah, I would love to see him again in a Tarantino movie.
He's great. He plays this by the numbers, streetwise bail bondsman, right? Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, now that I know how the bail bondsman business works, I had a hard time kind of liking him because I realized I do really like the character, but that business is a very messed up business, incredibly racist. It's part of the legal system, right? The idea that the majority of the people, if you tell them, hey, please come back in 30 days for your arraignment, or you might go to jail just because you missed your court date, like some ridiculously high number of people actually show up to their court date just by you telling them what date to show up. But we've created this system where like we inherently mistrust the people who are released, and we create these people whose job is to basically hope to God that these people miss their court dates. And I think that's a really dirty business. But I digress. He's great. He's great. We have Debo in this.
Oh yeah, Debo, man, that was really cool seeing just those two because he's playing Max Cherry's assistant,
right?
Because you're just so used to him playing like like you see him in Friday as like this bully, this gangster.
Yeah.
But seeing him in a more calm state was like very funny to me. So yeah,
you'd be surprised, man. You ever think about the fact that you have these actors playing these gangsters, right? And you don't know, man, these could be like Shakespearean trained actors that just because they're black, these are the only roles they can get, right? No, I think that focusing on Max Cherry is a good idea. I think that's a great character.
Max Cherry, I would say he's the least Tarantino-esque character in Tarantino verse. So,
I would kind of have to agree with you there. He's much more sort of passive. Even if he's actively doing something, he's not going to show you what he thinks. He's not going to show you how he feels about certain situations. And at first, I think the movie opens up wanting you to think he's sort of by the book and sort of a law-abiding man. But you quickly find out that he's not even necessarily hampered by those limitations, right? He's just hampered by doing what he perceives at the moment as the right thing, right? Which, when he meets Pam Grier, right, he all of a sudden realizes what the right thing is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you like the scene where she comes out and he like falls in love with her immediately?
Oh yeah. When she's coming out of jail, yeah. Immediately, just the look in his eyes, just like, yeah. And he's like, I can give you a ride home and all that stuff.
Like, I was hoping you'd have a drink with me.
No, yeah, but I do love Robert Forster as a Max Cherry. He was really calm and suave in a way
Throughout the whole thing,
in this movie, yeah. So I was really digging that whole vibe that he gave. And like you said, once he saw the opportunity that he can do some bad, you feel like he really liked it.
I'm not sure how bad what he's doing is, though. I think that's part of it. I mean, he's basically just robbing a drug dealer. I mean, I get he's not a drug dealer, but he's basically doing the same. And not only that, but he's helping out this girl that, he fell in love with immediately, right?
Yeah.
But I want to focus a little bit more on Pam Grier, because I think Pam Grier obviously is known for her 70s blaxploitation films, these women prison movies where she's topless for most of it, right? But I think there's great acting from her in this movie. I would say definitely probably her best performance in all of her career. Well, yeah, I mean, hands down. So yeah, I think so too. So why don't we go ahead and listen to Pam Grier's scene with Sam Jackson when she first kind of like lets him know what the business is.
Is that what I think it is?
What do you think it is?
I think it's a gun pressed up against my dick.
Well, you thought right. Now take your hands from around my throat, nigga.
What the hell's wrong with you, Jackie?
Shut the fuck up and don't you move. Oh, what is this? What the fuck is this, huh?
Hey, now that ain't got nothing to do with you. I carry that all the time. You've been talking to them police too much.
Oh, the police didn't try and strangle my ass.
Oh, come on, girl. You know I was just playing with you.
Oh, I ain't playing with you. I'm gonna unload both of these motherfuckers if you don't do what I tell you to do. You understand what I'm saying?
Jackie, stop acting crazy.
Do you understand what the fuck I'm saying?
Yeah, woman, damn.
Now sit your ass down on that sofa.
See? Police start fucking with your mind. They start pitting black against black. That's how they do. Been doing it since the beginning.
Shut your raggedy ass up and sit the fuck down. And put your hands behind your head.
Come on, this getting silly now.
Oh, silly? You want to see some motherfucking silly? If I have to tell you to shut up one more time, I'm gonna shut you up.
I just came over here to talk to you.
To talk? The way I see it, you and me got one motherfucking thing to talk about. One thing. And that's what you are willing to do for me.
I can get you a lawyer.
No, let's be realistic. Now, sooner or later, they're gonna get around to offering me a plea deal, and you know that. That's why you came here to kill me.
I ain't come over here to kill you.
Hey, it's okay. Now, I forgive you. Now, let's say, if I tell on you, I walk. If I don't, I'll go to jail. I want $100,000 in an escrow account in my name if I'm convicted up to a year or put on probation. Now, if I have to do more than a year, you pay another $100,000.
I can do that.
Dude, wasn't she amazing in that? Just the energy and all that in her voice, just not gonna take any shit from Samuel Jackson. So yeah.
No, it's both of them are firing at all cylinders in that for sure. It was interesting to have a character, especially in this early 90s, mid-90s, where it was still sort of male-dominated, to have a woman that takes charge of the movie from the beginning, isn't just the name of the movie, isn't just the lead character, but is also sort of the one with pushing all the buttons, getting all the gears going, especially for Tarantino, who sometimes catches a lot of flack for his portrayal of women and his portrayal of minorities. I think it's very, very powerful to have this black woman be the one that's making everything happen.
Yeah, and honestly, I would say Jackie Brown is probably Jackie Brown. Sorry, Jackie Brown is probably one of the most powerful female characters that I've ever seen on screen. So,
well, obviously, not as powerful as the one from Kill Bill, but
right.
let's not go too far on that. I think that to me is probably the movie where women play the biggest roles of all the Tarantino films. You have all the snakes, right? But this movie, I think, has the best acting in it. I like Pam Grier's performance better than Uma Thurman's, better than the Kerry Washington and Django Unchained.
Oh yeah, hands down. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, so why don't we go ahead and take our first break? We're gonna have Brenda's love advice for the week. We'll catch you when we come back.
And here's Brenda with our love advice.
Girls like to be wined and dined before they are 69.
And that was Brenda with our love advice.
All right, so it sounds like I'm going to have to go buy some wine tonight. Right? So let's talk about Michael Keaton. Very important character in this movie, right? Another guy who immediately falls in love with Pam Grier, right?
Yeah, and loves to wear sandals.
You're an idiot. What did you think of him in this movie?
I would say it was a very simple performance by him.
Okay.
I didn't think it was anything too amazing, I would say, but it fit what his character was for the film.
I think he's great. I think Michael Keaton, for a long time of his life, he didn't get any credit because he played Batman and because, honestly, he was not really acting. I was watching recently the Penguin one, the second one, I believe.
Yeah, Batman Returns.
Yeah, dude, I don't think he really is ever acting in that movie. He's just sort of saying things in, like, a very low voice. And, like, the fighting scenes are terrible. Like, they're so cringeworthy compared to what you get nowadays with not just, like, the Dark Knight Batman, but also just in general superhero movies.
Yeah, it doesn't hold up.
It does not hold up well enough. And you know what, man? There's a ton of millennials that grew up watching that shit as kids that still think it's better than, like, the Christian Bale ones. And I have no respect for those people. Because they obviously don't know film. They obviously think, that it's all about... And look, don't get me wrong. I don't have any respect for those people. I'm just saying they're wrong, right? I love Space Jam still. That's not a good movie. But I'm not going to sit there and be like, it's better than Shawshank Redemption. You know what I mean? There's a way you could say that you like a movie for its nostalgia's sake without trashing a much better film.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think in this movie, Michael Keaton is showing his ability to be able to be a very, very good sort of everyman. You get that with Birdman. You get that with some of his later films. He's great in the other guys, right? And I think you get that here. I think he's playing the character exactly the way he's supposed to be played, which is a young gun who wants, obviously, to be with Pam Grier, but isn't going to let it get in the way of his job.
Yeah, he didn't go chasing waterfalls.
Very...
It's a reference from the other guys if you guys didn't get
it. Yeah. I hate you. Right, but I think it's interesting to see how every man differs in the reaction to Pam Grier or Jackie Brown. You have Max Cherry, who pretty much gives himself all in, right? You almost get the feeling that if he had to pull the lever of some sort of, like, nuclear plant in order for her to, like, survive and him to die, he'd be doing it right away.
He'd do it. Yeah,
Michael Keaton's different. Michael Keaton's attracted to her, but he understands who she is. He understands that maybe she's not as bad as the Sam Jackson character, but she's not good either. And it doesn't allow him, and it doesn't affect his job. Although you could argue it does, right? You shouldn't never go on a date with this, but it's obviously he passes it off as a dinner to go over the case. I thought on third or fourth view of this movie, I started to really appreciate Michael Keaton and what he can do. So why don't we go ahead and listen to one of those scenes?
You have no idea about $50,000. You're clueless about the money, right? You have no idea what the 50 grand was.
I have no idea.
None. You have no idea. You don't know. It could have gone here. Could have gone there. You don't know.
I know nothing. Not a clue. I don't have an idea where the motherfucking money is.
Not even a little idea, maybe.
Not even a little tiny motherfucking idea.
Just a polygraph on.
Yeah, if a motherfucker make you happy. Yeah, put it right there. I'll do it.
I sure hope you didn't do anything stupid, Jackie.
Don't you hate when the woman you're in love with turns out to, double cross you to make $500,000 disappear?
Yeah, happened to me once.
Happened to you once? Yeah. Okay. Well, no, Michael Keaton doesn't even know it's $500,000, right? He thinks it's 50,000.
Yeah.
Because she tricks him too, right? I think Michael Keaton's great in this. No doubt in my mind. I think this is another example of Michael Keaton's, in my opinion, underrated acting ability. I think you think of movies like the one where he's a journalist. I forget the headline. No, not headline. What was it called?
Spotlight.
Spotlight. Yeah. The other guys. Birdman. I know a lot of people have problems with that movie. I like it a lot. Beetlejuice is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But you think about it, very few people ever, when they mention Michael Keaton, ever mention that he's a great actor. Everyone just thinks about Batman, right? And Beetlejuice, right? That's another movie we should revisit sometime.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay, well.
He didn't want no scrubs.
He didn't want no scrubs. That's true.
You gotta creep.
Shut up. All right, so what are your final thoughts on this movie?
Oh, it's great. I love it.
It's great.
Seriously, dude, it's awesome. I love Pam Grier. I love everybody in this movie. Like we said in the beginning, definitely his most underrated film, and it really shouldn't be because it's awesome. It's amazing.
Okay. I think it's an unsung masterpiece. I think it's never going to get the appreciation that it deserves. I think even probably he doesn't really like it that much. I'm sure part of it is because it wasn't an original idea. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm putting words in his mouth. I think from the moment this movie starts until the credits, there isn't a wasted second in this movie. I would not change a single thing. I would not get rid of a single line. I would not get rid of a single image in this movie. From Chris Tucker all the way to the end of this movie, I think it's definitely in the top 3 for me of Tarantino.
Oh, nice.
I like Pulp Fiction a lot. That would be in my top 3. Honestly, the other movie we're about to do is in the top 3. Reservoir Dogs was the first movie that I was into. And it's still good, and I still really like it, but I like both of these movies we're doing today better than Reservoir Dogs or Kill Bill. But again, I like all of his movies with the exception of Grindhouse, so it's kind of like choosing your favorite Led Zeppelin song. I mean, it's Black Dog might not be in there, but it's still a good song, Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a break.
I thought we were going to sing Across 110th Street just like she did.
No. At the end of it, yeah. God, I love that song. I play that song unironically all the time while we're cruising, for sure. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a break. Brenda's going to hit you guys up with some financial advice. When we come back, we'll get started on Inglorious Basterds.
Here's Brenda with our financial advice.
Yeah, those pop dolls you keep buying at the mall, they'll keep going up in value.
And that was Brenda with her financial advice.
My name is Lieutenant Aldo Rain, and I'm putting together a special team, and I need me 8 soldiers. 8 Jewish American soldiers. Now, y'all might have heard rumors about the Armada happening soon. Well, we'll be leaving a little earlier. We're gonna be dropped into France, dressed as civilians. Once we're in enemy territory, as a bushwhacking guerrilla army, we're gonna be doing one thing, and one thing only. Killing Nazis. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I sure as hell didn't come down from the goddamn Smoky Mountains, cross 5,000 miles of water, fight my way through half of Sicily, and jump out of a fucking airplane to teach the Nazis lessons in humanity. Nazi ain't got no humanity. They're the foot soldiers of a Jew-hating, mass-murdering maniac, and they need to be destroyed. That's why any and every sumbitch we find wearing a Nazi uniform, they're gonna die. Now, I'm the direct descendant of the mountain man Jim Bridger. That means I got a little engine in me. And our battle plan will be that of an Apache resistance. We will be cruel to the Germans. And through our cruelty, they will know who we are. And they will find the evidence of our cruelty in the disemboweled, dismembered, and disfigured bodies of their brothers we leave behind us. and the German won't be able to help themselves. But imagine the cruelty their brothers endured at our hands, and our boot heels, and the edge of our knives. And the German will be sickened by us, and the German will talk about us, and the German will fear us. And when the German closes their eyes at night, and they're tortured by their subconscious for the evil they have done, it will be with thoughts of us that they are tortured with. Sound good?
Sound good to you, Abraham?
Oh, most definitely.
I gotta say, this is probably in that, upper tier for me of movies. I think Pulp Fiction it's probably in the pantheon of amazing movies, right? I don't think I've ever heard anyone say anything other than great things for Pulp Fiction. But there's a lot of openness to debate about every other movie besides that, with maybe the exception of Reservoir Dogs. That movie has a lot of staying power because it was the first one. It was so revolutionary to have a movie with such amazing dialogue, so much violence and so many cursing, and that still has it. But I think everything else is up to debate. In my opinion, this is probably my second favorite movie of his. Honestly, Jackie Brown is probably number one. Pulp Fiction, again, to me, sort of exists outside of all that. What about you?
I have Pulp Fiction as number one. It's my all-time favorite movie as well. No, it is my favorite Tarantino movie. I actually have Inglorious Basterds as my second.
Second?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, yeah.
I think he thought it was his masterpiece, right? That's the thing I've always joked with you about, right? When I watch movies too much, I start to analyze them the way I did in college for my literature books, right? And to have a movie end with Lando saying, I don't know, I think this might be my masterpiece, and then immediately shoot into black and saying, written and directed by Quentin Tarantino, to me, eventually I started realizing, wait, is he saying that this is his masterpiece? I thought it was very meta, and I kind of had issues with it at first, but now I kind of dig it. I mean, it's kind of 99% of the people that watch that movie didn't catch that, right? You didn't really think about that, right?
No, I did. Yeah, when I saw it the first time, I remember I saw it in theaters, and I was just like, yeah, he definitely thinks this is his.
But I think it's up there. I think the reason I like this movie is because it's so much of what I like about Tarantino taken to 11, and so much of what I sometimes have issues with Tarantino taken down a little bit. So it's almost like, again, everyone has their favorite movie, but this and Jackie Brown sort of ramp up everything I like about his movies and sort of tone down some of the stuff I don't, right? The violence is great. The dialogue is absolutely great. Brad Pitt, I think, is easily my favorite performance of his, right? B.J. Novak is great. By the way, anyone who, maybe likes reading short stories, B.J. Novak is actually an incredibly talented short story writer. He has some of my favorite short stories that I read in college. Little known fact about him. Christoph Waltz. Has there ever been a better debut in terms of the American market?
It's funny that you mentioned that because I remember when I first saw this movie, just that first, 17-minute long scene.
That's one of my favorite scenes in all film.
Yeah, and I was just like, wow, that's Oscar. Like, he's got it. Like, I immediately, once that scene ended, I was like, he's got it. There's no competition here.
Yeah, absolutely. Through the whole movie, he's flawless throughout all of it. I think the entire movie is these two runaway trains coming towards each other, right? These super genius Brad Pitt because he's so damn violent, and Christoph Waltz because he's willing to be violent, but he's also so calculating. To the point where at the end of this movie, I think this is pretty cool, Christoph Waltz wins. Yeah. I mean, Brad Pitt ends up getting his, the ounce of skin at the end of it, quite literally.
Yeah.
But this cat and mouse game they have going on, technically Christoph Waltz wins.
Yeah.
Right? He just thought the game was over, and Brad Pitt gave no shits. He was getting his fucking swastika in his face. What do you like about it?
Oh, it's so many things from everything classic that Tarantino does, from the dialogue, the wonderful characters that he creates.
So much dialogue in this movie
it's heavily
German, French, right? Or a little bit of Italian.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I remember when Tarantino was interviewed about this, he said he specifically wanted actors that were that race. So if you really think about it, if Christoph Waltz wasn't German, I don't think we would have had him.
Is he German? I thought he was Austrian.
I think he's I could have sworn he was German. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
All right.
But yeah, like you see like French people in here and all that stuff. It's just really cool how he wanted it to like really make it like all authentic. And obviously Melanie Laurent, who's also French, I believe, as well, who plays
She's great.
Who plays Shoshana. So yeah,
Yeah,
she's awesome too.
she's in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. She plays the French.
What?
Not the Order of the Phoenix. Well, technically, she's in the Order of Phoenix.
Ah, okay.
She exists in that universe, but she's LaFleur in the fourth one.
Huh. Okay.
The third one. Wait, the third one's Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah.
Fourth one is the
Half-Blood Prince.
No, Half-Blood Prince is six.
It's 6.
Yeah. Baby, what's the fourth Harry Potter movie? Goblet of Fire. That's it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh
okay.
man. Drugs are bad. But no, she's great in everything. She's also in Bruges.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen it. That's one of those that I gotta rewatch. So yeah,
I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think everyone in this, again, it's one of those cases where everyone's bringing their absolute best because they understand it's Tarantino and they understand that every 2 years or 2 or 3 years he makes a movie and everyone goes to watch it that actually likes film. It's not movies that are going to make $1 billion because you can't take kids to it. You can't take people who want to go see a movie just to have fun.
Yeah, he's a lover of cinema, and
everyone who actually knows what they're doing is going to go see a Tarantino film.
Oh,
you will never see a critic say, "Oh, I'm not going to go see the next Tarantino movie." If you have friends that are into movies, you know they're going to go see it, and you know you're going to be able to discuss it.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I think because of that, when actors are picked to be in one of his movies, they bring everything they got.
Yeah, they know they got to bring their A game because they're going to be. It's pretty much a competition between each other.
It's not even that. It's kind of like being a musician and understanding that you're not. This isn't.
Yeah, we all got to hit the right notes.
We all got to be together. And we got to bring everything we got. Because really, I mean, I get Brad Pitt and Christoph Waltz are sort of the focus of the film, but I mean, you have a lot of time spent on I'm sorry, her.
Shoshana.
Shoshana, right, and her story. You could arguably say that that's everything that happens between Brad Pitt and Christoph Waltz is sort of happening. Sort of surrounding her, and that the heart of the story is her story, right? And the fact that German hero. By the way, can I ask you a question? Because I've had this discussion with several people. Do you think that this? Obviously, the movie's exaggerated. The movie within the movie is exaggerated. But do you think that he's actually a hero, or do you ever get the feeling like he's just sort of an actor that's pretending to be this hero?
Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about the
war hero, the
Daniel Bruges, I believe is his name, or something like that?
The one who's in love with.
The one. Because the whole time, even when you met kids, you see that he's really stuck up.
Yeah,
and it's like he's pretending this whole time because even when he's watching his own movie,
because there's nothing inherently wrong and nothing inherently like that in the movie that tells you it might be fake. But the Nazis were famous for that shit.
All right.
The Nazis were very, very, very organized in their propaganda. So I wondered now, is the 15th time I watched this. Actually, this is the Tarantino film I watched the most, even more than Pulp Fiction.
Oh, okay.
And I sometimes get the feeling that part of why the character works the way it works is because you're not sure if he's really a war hero the whole time. Okay, Christoph Waltz. One of the awful things about doing this in podcast form is that so much of the dialogue is in German and French.
Yeah.
What do you think Christoph Waltz brought new to the Tarantino films that wasn't there? Because you definitely, I think this is obviously the first one Christoph Waltz has in, right? And he's been in so many of the last couple of ones, right? He's been in.
It was just this one and Django. He was only in those two. Yeah, he was only in those two. Yeah.
Right, I think he was in The Hateful Eight for a second there. But I mean, I think it's what does he bring to the Tarantino universe that you didn't have before?
I thought he brought this gravitas that not many can bring to the Tarantino. Like, you get your usual characters that Tarantino usually likes to do, but this is that extra one that's like, you know what, I'm gonna make a German colonel, like, probably even more exaggerated in a sense, but at the same time, kind of keep him cool, but then let him really loose when he needs to.
Let it really loose.
Oh yeah.
I think it's actually a little more simpler than that. I think I usually don't like to be a douche and set people up, but it's very simple what the difference is. He's European. He's not an American actor that's bringing anything. So it's the first time he has a European. I get that Mr. Orange in Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, Tim Roth? Yeah.
But he's playing an American, and he's doing a very good job of playing an American as best he can. So I think a lot of people probably watch that movie and never realize that he's British. This is an inherently European actor. He cannot hide his accent to the point where, like in Alita, right? They don't even acknowledge the fact that he has an accent, but he can't hide it. This is an inherently European actor that no matter what he plays has to play something that comes off as European, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very different because can you think of any other movie that you have a central character that's European in these movies? I'd like to actually know because I could be wrong.
No, not
Kill
even.
Bill. Not in Kill Bill, right? You do have the character in The Executioner in The Hateful Eight.
Mm.
But he's supposed to be British, right?
Right.
Yeah, and he's an American gangster still, right? He's a outlaw in the Old West.
Yeah.
So for all intents and purposes, he is sort of this Wild West, Western frontier kind of character. So I think whenever Christoph Waltz is on the screen, it's like one of the only times you really get something that isn't American.
Because he does the same thing for him in Django Unchained, where he gives him the little bit of a backstory where he says that he's from.
He can't hide the accent for whatever reason. Either he doesn't choose to, or he does not, or he cannot hide the accent.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to essentially always play a European character.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about how ridiculous this movie is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about these secret, missions to kill as many Nazis as they can, right? You have the Jew Bear, right? Play like probably the best thing that Eli Roth has ever done, right? Hands down.
Yeah, and he actually, fun fact, if you guys didn't know, he actually directed the little film in Inglorious Basterds about the
sniper.
Yeah, about the sniper.
I did not know that actually. Crazy. Definitely the best thing he's ever directed. No doubt about it. I'm not a fan of Eli Roth. Actually, I think he's trash. I think I don't understand. I don't get it. I literally sit there and I do not understand what people think about with Eli Roth. But he's good in this.
Yeah.
Bear Jew, right? You have B.J. Novak. You have Brad Pitt. And the scenes with Hitler in them are absolutely hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But you sit there and you're like, what the fuck am I watching? Two right at times? You have to catch yourself? Or like when you have Michael Myers playing the...
Oh, yeah.
You sit in these scenes and you're like, what? We just had the 17th most tense minutes of my life watching that first scene, and now I have Hitler screaming 9 over and over again.
Yeah, that's
right?
how he's introduced. Yeah.
I think that's why I love this fucking movie so much, man. I just love those moments of campiness that you don't always get in the other Tarantino films. That's what I was talking about. You get some of that sometimes in some movies, but to here it's ramped up to 11. Right? You have these scenes where they're like literally burning a theater full of Nazis and shooting them, and it's like everything is so over the top and hilarious and campy, and it's so much more to me of an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I love the speaking of these intense moments when they get when we get introduced to Hugo Stiglitz.
Yeah,
I love that part, man. Just him, what he does. He's like, everybody in the German army knows Hugo Stiglitz. And then you just see his fucking name across the screen.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, and it was great.
Well, he does that every once in a while, right? You get that in Pulp Fiction with Don't Be a Square.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that ever gets bothered by the fact that she clearly...
It's a rectangle?
It's a rectangle. I teach math, so I know that technically a rectangle...
Is a square.
Is a square. But come on, man. No, he does that, and it's cool. And I think, again, it's stuff that I like in other movies, just, a little bit more ratcheted up than this. And I think that's why I fucking love this movie.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's... See, there are times... This is one of those movies that leaves me speechless. Because I can just talk about, hey, I love this part, and I love this part. And I just, like, when I talk about it, I serve no justice to it. Just watching it it really is. So yeah.
Especially because it's like, again, so much of this movie, probably at least half is in either German or French.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's another very different thing about this movie than you get from any Tarantino.
Oh, and remember, part Italian.
Part Italian. that's what I'm. There's a woman I work with that legitimately one time was looking for Italian dressing in the lounge, and she kept saying Italian over and over again. And I was like, "Is she doing this on purpose, or does she really not know that you can't? Like, that's not how you should say that." All right, so let's talk about the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people call this kind of thing a twist, right? I don't think this is a twist at all. I think this makes sense in the plot. Right, you have Christoph Waltz, who's the smartest man in the world.
Yep. Realizing
that things aren't going well for Hitler.
Fun fact real quick, sorry to cut you off. Did you know Clint Eastwood?
Do I know Clint Eastwood?
No,
What the hell do you mean?
But he auditioned for the part of Hans Landa.
I had no idea. That's actually pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
How he could have... He's like 100 years old.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember there was an interview with Tarantino, and he just brought up the fact that Clint Eastwood went in there and apparently spoke perfect German.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
that's amazing. I would pay money to see that interview. Literally, I would pay $100 to see that interview.
Yeah, that'd be... Yeah, I would.
That interview.
The audition.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see that. I really wish. I don't know if they had the cameras rolling or not, but I really wish if they did that they would just release that footage just to see.
I would hope my reputation would precede me.
But yeah, man. But yeah, obviously he didn't get hired because he wasn't German.
He wasn't German, right? He wanted that. I mean, it would have been cool, but I think Christoph Waltz would have done a better job.
Definitely.
You know, don't get me wrong. I was actually having this discussion with someone recently. I think, to me, Clint Eastwood is one of the 5 most important people to ever in American film. I'm not just talking best actors. I'm not talking best directors or even writers. I'm talking just the most important. I mean, up there with Orson Welles, right? In terms of someone that could do it all, in terms of someone that's important to his craft. He's a fucking idiot when it comes to his political beliefs, but I mean, he's still making okay movies. The Mule was okay. It wasn't terrible, but it was okay. I had issues with, again, his politics on it. But, I mean, Unforgiven's probably one of my 2 favorite movies. Mystic River's up there. And that's just him as a director. As an actor, I mean, I love Western movies. Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and listen to that final conversation between the Christoph Waltz character and Lando?
Yep.
So you're the Jew hunter. I'm a detective. A damn good detective. Finding people is my specialty, so naturally I worked for the Nazis finding people. And yes, some of them were Jews, but Jew hunter? Just a name that stuck.
Well, you do have to admit, it is catchy.
Do you control the nicknames your enemies bestow on you? Aldo the Apache and the Little Man?
What do you mean, the Little Man?
German's nickname for you.
The German's nickname for me is the Little Man?
And as if to make my point, I'm a little surprised how tall you were in real life. I mean, you're a little fellow, but not circus midget, little as your reputation would suggest.
Where's my man? Where's Bridget von Hammersmark?
Well, let's just say she got what she deserved. And when you purchase friends like Bridget von Hammersmark, you get what you pay for. Now, as far as your paisanos, Sergeant Donowitz and Private Omar...
How you know their names?
Lieutenant Aldo. If you don't think I wouldn't interrogate every single one of your swastika-marked survivors... We simply aren't operating on the level of mutual respect, I assume.
No, I guess not.
Well, back to the whereabouts of your 2 Italian saboteurs. As of this moment, both Omar and Donowitz should be sitting in the very seats we left them in. 0023 and 0024, if my memory serves. Explosives still around their ankle, still ready to explode, and your mission, some would call it terrorist plot, as of this moment, is still a go.
Right? I mean, could this movie end in a more ridiculous way?
No,
right? I mean, it's all the Nazis are dead, right? Not just Hitler, but literally all of the men of the Third Reich that were at all important are dead.
All that needed to be gone.
All that needed to be gone are gone. So ostensibly the war is over, right?
Yep.
Mussolini was a clown. You know, obviously Japan wasn't going to do everything by itself. So probably the war is over right there and then. But isn't it kind of like, what the fuck? The first time you're watching it, you're like, really? He's going to kill off all of them? Like at once? This plan actually works? What was it like watching this the first time?
Well, I was in amazement, especially when you see that scene where the Bear Jew is just shooting the shit out of Hitler.
Right.
And it's just, you just see like his face just split in half, and it's just awesome. And then obviously you cut to Brad Pitt, and you know, at the final scene in the forest, and you know, he gets his
He wants to know how you get to radio, like Carnegie Hall, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Practice.
Would you recommend this movie to someone if it was their first Tarantino movie?
No, I would actually tell them to start from the beginning. Because the first Tarantino movie I saw, to be honest, was Kill Bill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, to be honest. The
that
first
late?
one. Yeah, I was that late.
Okay.
I was definitely that late.
I watched Reservoir Dogs when I was 11.
Oh wow! Okay, nice. Lucky. I'm actually jealous about that.
I'm not sure that's lucky. I'm pretty sure that's that was bad parenting.
I'm very.
Like they say the N word a lot in that movie.
Oh yeah.
A lot of violence. I'm not sure
when they're in that car. Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
They shot me. Right.
So yeah, it wasn't until because I remember I used to work at People's Choice.
Sure.
Gosh, I hated working there, but yeah, I saw Kill Bill because my dad took me to theaters to see it. And it wasn't until I started working there, I luckily I got the opportunity to rent his other movies. So that's when I rented Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, and all this other stuff. But no, if I wouldn't recommend this one to be your first Tarantino film at all. I would actually recommend you to start from the beginning. Start with Reservoir Dogs and continue on from there on out.
I think this one's even easier to be a standalone film than Jackie Brown is, on second thought. I think if you've never seen a Tarantino film and you're like, should I watch this movie? Like, why not? You don't have to know anything about the Tarantino style or the Tarantino universe or how he operates for this movie to be amazing, right? At the same time, if you're someone that's like, I don't really enjoy Tarantino films, I'm like, well, give this one a try.
Okay.
I can't guarantee you'll like it, but if there's a Tarantino film that you might like, if you don't like him very much, this might be it. More than Jackie Brown, I think. Because this really is sort of this out of this box thing, right? It's in Europe. It has actors that are not in other movies, right? Christoph Waltz hadn't been in anything. Brad Pitt hadn't been in anything. B.J. Novak hadn't been in anything. Eli Roth hadn't been in anything, right? So it's like, it's sort of something that might be something for someone that, if they don't like Tarantino films, they might like this one.
Yeah, I would say it's the easier movie to like between these two.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I could see what you mean. The fact that it, maybe some people are turned off by some of the sort of language in the Jackie Brown movie. That the N-word gets dropped every 30 seconds in that movie, right? I could see that, yeah, for sure. But I think a lot of people would be turned off by how violent this movie still is, though. So I'd say be careful. If someone hearing this hates either one of these movies, sure, let us know on Facebook or Twitter or something, and we would love to be a discussion. I know Tarantino is very sacred to a lot of people. Sometimes, man, as much as I love his movies, I can't stand these Tarantino guys, man. That sit there, and then you point certain things out about movies, and they'll say, yeah, but it's Tarantino. And I'm like, yeah, but that's a stupid argument. How about you take 10 seconds and think about what I just said to you?
Yeah, I'm one of those Tarantino guys, but I would never use that. I'll be like, it's Tarantino. Like, no, that's such a simple...
If that's what you want to say, sure, but can you at least give it a minute?
Right, give it some backup, provide some backup to it,
I've watched every one of his movies as many times as any of these assholes that say things like those, right? But, let's have a discussion about things. It's not infallible, is what I'm trying to say. It's not, he's not someone that we can't sit there and be like, don't you dare say one bad thing about this guy. Why don't we discuss his movies? Any good film can be discussed for its merits and for any issues that it has.
Yeah.
We hyperbolically say that movies are flawless, but no movie's flawless, right? Sometimes we like movies because of their flaws, right? I love Casablanca. Casablanca is the sappiest fucking movie ever written, right? It was meant to be sappy. It was meant to be that way. But it's amazing, right? And that sappiness is part of what I like about a movie like that. And I think people need to sometimes understand that at the end of the day, he's a filmmaker. He's great. We're all lucky to be living in a time where we can sit there and watch the newest one in theaters, right? We could never see Coppola's newest movie in theaters.
Right. Exactly,
we could never sit there and watch Orson Welles or
Kubrick.
We're watching one of the greats. But it doesn't... Kubrick's great, but he's not flawless. Neither was Coppola.
And it's crazy how short his film background is. Like...
Oh, he was just probably... He was also working at a movie.
Yeah, he was working
place,
at a video store. Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, this I went to go see Inglorious Basterds 5 times in theaters. Every time I went, it was with someone else.
That's so weird.
Dude,
but
seriously, I really
it.
enjoyed this movie, and like I said, this is my second favorite one of the Tarantino movies because I know I've seen Pulp Fiction over 20 times. I've lost count.
Sure.
And same thing with this one. I know I've seen this one over 20 times.
20 times?
Yes,
wow.
way over. Yeah, way over.
Yeah, no, I mean, I saw Dark Knight maybe 3 times in the movie because
I saw it twice. Yeah, I saw that one twice.
The movie theater back in, remember the movie theater in Zion?
Oh, the Dunes. The Dunes.
Oh,
yeah,
shit,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
right, the Dunes, right? My friend worked there, and he was the manager. So, like, he would let me into the movies if I show up during the day, and he'll, like, charge me, like, $5, and he would give me popcorn. Which is probably why it shut down. But I watched that, like, 3 times. So even that, looking back, I was like, why did I watch it 3 times in, like, 2 weeks? But you like doing that.
I do. I like if I really do enjoy a movie, I'll love go seeing it again. Like I remember.
I like time to process a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like to sit on a movie and think about it for a while. I took me 4 or 5 days before I really got around to starting to. I mean, I don't think we could have done the episode on Us, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
If we had done it like we did with Glass the next day.
Okay. Yeah,
because, man, I needed time to... A good movie, I need time to process. And that's usually why I come up with theories that some people don't think about. Because I don't sit there and rewatch it. And I sit there and I think, all right, well, what was that? And why do you think he said that? And why do you think they did that? And that's why sometimes I come at movies a little bit different. I look at them as if they're really good, I look at them no different than I look at literature. What's working, what's not working, and if it's not working, why can't we discuss it? I'm not saying the movie's not good, but we can't also ignore what's where the issues are. Well, I'm gonna get off my soapbox right now. You got anything you want to talk about? What's on your mind this week, brother?
I'm gonna keep it Tarantino because I'm actually very excited because his new movie comes out this year called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, starring Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Margot Robbie. Super hyped about it, so yeah. Just
because of Margot Robbie?
Oh, I love Margot Robbie. Thank you to Scorsese for introducing us to her.
How many times have you watched Wolf of Wall Street?
Let's see, I saw that one twice in theaters as well. But yeah, it's been, I don't know. Under 10. It's been under 10.
It's been under 10?
Under 10,
I've actually watched that movie a lot. Scorsese's and, like, I mean, I don't want to sit here and have a discussion of film in general, but he's up there with me.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoy Scorsese a lot more than Tarantino.
Ah, okay.
I love both of them, but there's few directors in between them in terms of my favorites, for sure. All right, well, on my mind this week is the latest Avengers movie. So here it is, guys. I don't really dig these MCU movies. I've seen several. I've seen probably around 6 or 7. I've definitely seen all the Captain America movies. But I'm hearing great reviews, and I'm wondering if I can go in and watch Endgame without watching Infinity Wars.
Probably not.
Probably not?
Yeah, because it's the continuation of that.
But I feel like such a fucking tool when I go see these movies. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not trying to disrespect anyone. This is a personal thing. I feel like when a movie... I get why these movies appeal to people, especially now when you've seen so many of them and they all have this. That's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, that is pretty cool. I like the Captain America movies. I've seen every single one of them. Have I ever watched any of them? No. I like the first Thor. I remember when I saw it, but I don't think I've ever rewatched it. I mean, that's the thing with these movies. If I'm in the movie theater, if it's loud as hell, if there's a lot of going on, I'm entertained as anyone else. I have ADHD. I dig it. But to sit there and watch them, I don't know.
Just to add to your, just want to let you know, because I was on boxofficemojo.com, this movie's made $305 million foreign already. And I think it's predicted to have
Theranos raised $500 million and never invented the fucking thing they were saying. That's the other thing I've never understand. People that try to impress me by how much a movie fucking...
Oh, no, I wasn't trying to impress you. I was actually just saying like that in general. But from what I saw there, too, I think their prediction is that this movie's going to make $300 million opening weekend here in the U.S., which is fucking crazy.
We lost billions of dollars during the recession. Doesn't make the recession a good thing. I mean, look, listen. I mean, I'm probably going to end up watching it. And I'm probably going to like it. Just like I've had good experiences watching almost all the other MCU movies I've watched. I'm just saying, I don't know, man. I don't see anything past that for me. You know what I mean? And I'm wondering if it's worth watching Infinity Wars in preparation to watch this. Because I might sit there, and I might not know everything that's going on, but I have a good sense of what I've seen, of what's going on. And at the end of the day, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to enjoy it. The last one I really like, actually, I'm going to take a step back. I actually really did like Black Panther, and it's actually did see it twice. I'm a school teacher, and I had to take a bunch of kids on a field trip. That was not fun. But the movie's great. Black Panther is good. I will say that. Now, I will rewatch that one for sure. But that's the exception that proves the rule to me. I mean, I remember how much I dug Avengers, the first one, and I literally Haven't seen it ever again.
Hmm.
Never. I don't think, besides Black Panther, I have ever rewatched one of these movies. No desire to. If it's on and I'm not really into, I'm not actually watching it, I'll sit through it. But
oh, you'll keep it on as like a background thing, kind of.
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
All right, well, that's what was on our mind this week. Join us next week when we actually do our first ever masterpiece revival. We're gonna do. This is a mini series we're going to do within the podcast where we sit down and discuss a movie that we find to be a masterpiece. So movies like Pulp Fiction, maybe something like Casablanca, or something like Vertigo, or something like Psycho. These great, everyone likes these movies because they are amazing. And can we sit back and to see if we can discuss something new about them? Our first episode is going to be next week with our guest Tyler. He's going to come back and sit with us, and we're going to discuss Unforgiven. So make sure you come back to us. Say goodbye to the people, Abraham.
Deuces.
You know something, you rich? I think this just might be my masterpiece.